When I found out about my grandmother, I was too young to understand what murder was. I'm 20 now and I've found her letters and photographs. As it turns out, she was a gross and unhappy person, which is a shame, because before she was shot through the face, she was awfully beautiful. I say awfully because, as I understand it, she was a bit like a siren. Also, these were my grandfather's letters. All of them were found in a cold office closet sometime in December. My mother showed them to me when we were looking for wrapping paper. "You might enjoy these," she said. No one talks about my grandparents, especially not my grandmother. My name is Chuck LeGros. I'm 22, I'll be 23 in a month, and I am an English writing major at the University of Pittsburgh. Well, I began writing because I was horrendous at sports, and my parents were like, "We've got to get him occupied this summer because this is insane." And so they sat me down in my room and they were like, "We want you to write a topic about anything, about whatever you want, just got to write 5 pages about it." And I started and I didn't stop. I wrote like 25. And after that, I realized that you could make stories up, that you didn't have to write about, real things, so to speak. And that's when it opened up for me, and I was like, why in the hell isn't everybody doing this? This is incredible. I think I'd like people to take a few things away from my writing. It's impossible to name them all. I think the chief among them, though, would be to learn just a different way of life, because that's, to me, the most interesting, because I still can't fathom that there are 7 billion people. And the reason I read books, and I think the reason most people read books, is to, for a moment, try to shatter their own lens and look through somebody else's. And it's never totally possible, but it's the effort that counts. And I think that's what's thrilling to me, is I get to plop someone down, hopefully, and have them look into my work and say, yeah, okay, I get it. I see where that motivation was, or I see why that happened. I have 3 typewriters, and I love them, and they kill my fingers to work on them, though. I have no idea how people did it for such extended periods of time, but I always write the last page of everything on a typewriter. It's just, it's a weird habit, I guess. And I have Ernest, who's, he's my prized possession. He's the exact make and model that Ernest Hemingway used when he was in Cuba, and I have Walt. He's a big old gray guy, and they're both Royals, and Walt is, he's a bit more cumbersome to carry around, but he's a lot more final when you use him, because the keys, the type bars really bang against the roll. And Wilhelmina, who is the newest, and Casey actually got me Wilhelmina, and I need to get Wilhelmina fixed. I haven't actually used her yet, but I love her dearly, and I know that she has tremendous promise in the future. I think universal healthcare is important because when we look at how society works, it doesn't work as a series of unrelated phenomena. We are not just individual bodies who have nothing to do with one another. It is always a collective effort. We're kin, we're a large tribe, so to speak. And in order to flourish, we need that mentality. We need to coexist for one another, not just with one another. When I look at my mom, who was for a long time unemployed, she struggled, and she had an enlarged heart, and so that I saw firsthand what it was like to not have insurance, because she couldn't afford it, and she eventually got the welfare insurance, the Medicaid, and which was a lifesaver, because she almost had a heart attack. She had an extreme palpitation in her heart, and she was rushed to the hospital, and they said, you have 3 years to live, and luckily, with the insurance that she was provided in her poverty, she was able to go to the great physicians, the right nutritionists, and find her way out, and now she's as healthy as an ox. And although she whines all the time, but in that way, it was the community that came through for Mom. It wasn't, she did her damnedest to pull herself up by the bootstraps, but you can just, it's absurd. The premiums are insane, and what do you do? What do you do when you have kids, and you cannot do it sometimes, and it's people who are willfully ignorant to that really put the knife in the side of society.